Growing up is all about experiences, some good, some that we take for granted, and others we'd much rather forget than remember. These life experiences are what shape us into the individuals we become. Personal values affect each and every one. Our values develop and change during various stages of life. They help shape what we say, what we do, and who we are. Meet Ben. He's part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, a mentoring program for young people supported by 100 years of international experience and expertise.
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
They provide young people in need of additional support, guidance and friendship with caring volunteer mentors. Each mentor is a long-term positive role model. Mentors help young people through the processes of developing personal values of their own. Today, Ben is meeting Dylan and is one of many volunteers who give up their personal time for a good cause. These Big Brothers Big Sisters teams will be doing various activities. Through the friendships made, each young person will learn a little about others, and this will help them to build and strengthen their personal values. So, what are personal values, and why are they so important? From the moment we are born, we begin learning. We learn how to walk, we learn how to talk, and we learn how to interact and be part of the world. But throughout all this, we're also subconsciously building our personal values. Our values are our beliefs about what we think is good. They guide our actions, speech and thoughts, which causes us to communicate to others what we think is important and what we think is desirable, beneficial and beautiful. In short, personal values sum up the things we truly value, what we hold dear. Each and every one of us has a set of personal values that are distinct and different and which help to create our identity. Values also help us function as a society. They play a part in forming groups, societies, cultures and civilizations, and have done so throughout the history of the world. A culture is made up of a group of people who share the same core set of values. These are people who hold the same things dear, whether that be peace, freedom, or even on a smaller scale, a certain quality of life and family. Without a set of common values, a society wouldn't be able to exist harmoniously. Everybody would be striving for different things, therefore nobody would work together. This kind of division makes it very difficult to achieve even the most basic of tasks, from a complex project like constructing a building or even just basic survival. Values can be negative, or they can be positive. To help us understand each other, we need to have a look at what our values are. They provide an insight into our behaviour and why we do the things we do. We learn and develop our values from many different sources, beginning with our families and caregivers. The most prominent source from which we draw our values are other people. This is why it's important to have positive role models such as Ben and Vanya. We see how others behave, how they interact. And through these actions, we learn what their values and beliefs are and adopt them as our own. Having strong role models in our lives makes us feel valued, important and safe.
So we can get to positive.
Teachers can play important roles in young people's lives, providing care and support throughout their schooling.
Thank you.
Students with this type of role model are less likely to experiment in unsocial behaviour. For most children, their earliest role models are usually their parents or other family members. Although among these young people, there are other volunteers who donate themselves and their time to helping out. Volunteers around the world practice the essence of positive personal values on a daily basis as they help to rebuild, create or guide others. Who am I? And what am I doing here? It's a question that everybody at one stage in their life will ask themselves.
Yes, correct answer.
As we grow and get older, our identity develops and changes, but never more so than during the time of adolescence. During adolescence, the foundations of our identity are formed. Less and less are we influenced by family as we embark on the journey to discover who we are. And we may not get it right the first time. Many adolescents try out different looks and experiment with different social groups trying to find their identity. Most adolescents are on the search to find out who they are, all of which is normal and natural. Regardless of environment, there are four main aspects of development in regards to adolescence. First, there's developing an identity that's a positive fit for your personal values. Then there's learning to stand on your own 2 feet, which usually involves lessening your dependency on your parents or adult guardians, establishing a good set of friends, and setting career goals for the future are other developmental milestones. Obviously, these goals can change, but most people develop an idea of what they would like to do during their adolescent years. There are 3 stages of adolescence. Stage 1 is early adolescence. During this stage, we tend to step aside from our parents and try to stand alone. Fitting in with a peer group and being accepted by our peers is also something that is very important in the early stages of adolescence. The second stage is middle adolescence. This is where we become interested in the opposite sex, learn how to control our emotions, and become more mature in managing our behaviours and impulses. The last stage of adolescence, later adolescence, we focus on career choices and future goals. At this stage, our perceived need for peer acceptance has lessened and we are less emotionally dependent upon our parents. Throughout adolescence, we struggle with learning about who we are. We adjust to a new physical self and new intellectual abilities. We develop relationships, new skills, and a new sense of self. These all blend together to shape our personal value system.
So we have to agitate it for 30 seconds.
Apart from having strong positive role models in our lives, our identity and values are also influenced by the environment around us. Life is so deep and rich, and our influences are widely varied. They can come from a range of sources. It's hard to determine the value of a single influence and how large a role it plays in making us, us. For instance, television may play a bigger role in influencing the values of a boy living in North America than it would in a girl in Burma who may not even have a television. Many influences blend together in ways that make us unique because no 2 people and 2 life experiences are the same. Family plays a prominent role in developing our values. From a young age, our parents, brothers and sisters, all help shape our lives. When we see each of them behave in certain situations, we learn from them and may adopt their values as our own. We also learn from our extended family. We pick up on their values as we do in our immediate family, but their influence often isn't as strong. While parents play a major role in instilling values into their children, it is our peers that reinforce or contradict those values. Although we still seek advice from our parents about big issues such as which school to go to or what part-time job to apply for, it is our peers who influence many other aspects of our life, like our desired appearance. From the type of clothes we wear daily to the latest hairstyles that will identify us as trendy or fashion conscious, the way we dress is an expression of our personal values. We establish a physical identity for ourselves in this way, and being with like-minded people in a social group gives us a sense of comfort and community. Role models also influence our personal values and identity. There is no specific place that role models always spring from, and no single type of person that is more influential. It all depends on the individual. A positive role model might be a volunteer from any volunteer organisation, a sports person, a teacher, or even just somebody you admire. In today's society, there are various types of media that also influence our values and identity. It ranges from popular figures from the music scene to the latest blockbuster film or the juiciest hot gossip from magazines, all aimed at the adolescent market. These different types of media influence fashion, social behaviour, catchphrases, and points of view. Media plays a massive role in adolescence. It's estimated that by the time a student leaves school, they will have spent 5,000 hours reading books, 10,000 hours playing video games and 20,000 hours watching television. As you can see, there are many influences that play their part in developing our identity and values. Risk-taking is a way in which some adolescents may feel they can express who they are and who they want to be. Risk-taking may be experienced with peers or alone. When taking risks, we must make well-thought-out decisions as opposed to jumping in and doing the first thing that comes to mind. It's about learning. And although taking risks may feel like a natural part of growing up, there are positive types of risks and negative types of risks. Positive low risks can be categorized as an action that has the possibility of gain, such as a new skill or experience. They are typically things like hobbies or sports, or even that initial clumsy first date. Values such as teamwork, independence, and confidence can be gained from healthy risk-taking, which then echoes through to adult life. Negative risk-taking usually involves the loss of something and can cause harm or even have an impact on health. These are things like drink driving, illicit drug use, unprotected sex, self-harm, or anything else that has a negative impact on you or those around you. When adolescents participate in negative risk-taking, it may be because they are trying to distinguish themselves or have succumbed to peer group pressure. Having peers is important. They are the people you go to school with, or friends who you socialise with after school. Your peers can influence your behaviour and can motivate you to be more confident and independent, and in turn stimulate your own personal values. But they can also influence you in a negative way by putting pressure on you to behave in a way in which you do not normally behave. Or they can prevent you from taking a chance on an opportunity in life due to hesitation and uncertainty. The pressure comes from feeling obliged to meet the expectations of your peers and the fear that disappointing them could lead to rejection or isolation. Most of us have personal values that we believe in strongly. They are a combination of our thoughts, experiences, and learned behaviour that comes from family, role models, peers, media, and experience. But sometimes our values can conflict with one another, and it is in this area where problems can occur. There are many situations where our values can conflict. You could be out with your friends about to play a game of basketball, and your mum calls because she needs you to come home and look after your little brother or sister. Your values tell you that you have to keep your word to your friends, because if you can't play, then they won't have a full side, and then they won't be able to play. On the other hand, your values are telling you your mum needs you to help and you have to go. Or you could be out shopping with a friend and they decide to shoplift something. Your values will tell you that shoplifting is wrong. But they will also be telling you that you should be loyal to a friend. These types of situations will arise throughout life, and how you react to them will also alter, change, or develop your values, because our values never stop developing. They are affected by everything we do, every decision we make. So how do we know we are making the right decisions? The thing is, it's sometimes difficult to tell what's right. Making decisions when our values conflict is a difficult process. Making the right one is a personal choice, which must be based on what is right for you. A way that can help your decision-making process is to look at what the outcomes could be for making each decision. Are they likely to hurt you? Are they likely to hurt somebody else? And what do you gain or lose from each decision? If you look at the likely outcomes from all sides, it will assist you in making a more informed decision. But it is a decision that you and you alone can make. Our values play an important role in our lives. They guide our decisions, they make us who we are. They influence our communities, our society, and our culture. With the Big Brothers Big Sisters organisation and countless organisations around the world, volunteers ensure that the principles of developing strong personal values gets handed down to each new generation.
Bye.